In this video, I'm going to show you how you could build a $45 Chevill Bane of Monsters Commander deck. Let's get started. Total cost of this deck was just under $45 as of the day of recording. Prices were checked using mtgstocks.com. Do know that prices fluctuate, so they may be above or below where you see them listed at in this video. This deck is 1DH legal, meaning all the cards in the deck are $1 or under, with the exception of the commander, who can be up to $5. Chevill Bane of Monsters is a 2-to-cast 1/3 with Death Touch that reads, if your opponents control no permanents with bounty counters on them, put a bounty counter on target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. Whenever a permanent an opponent controls with a bounty counter on it dies, you gain 3 life and draw a card. So the goal of this deck is to get out Chevill, put bounty counters on our opponent's creatures, remove those creatures, and get card advantage off of that. We also get some life gain. We're going to do that by weaponizing that Death Touch on Chevill. We're going to equip him with bows that allow him to become a pinger so that we can just destroy creatures by tapping him. First off, we're going to start out by talking about the Accelerants in the deck. We are running 11, which is on the higher end. We have cards like Search for Tomorrow, Rampant Growth, and Farseek, which help us to get extra lands onto the battlefield early. We also have Cultivate, Harrow, and Nissa's Pilgrimage, which can get us 2 lands, either to the battlefield, to our hand, or if you got Nissa's Pilgrimage, you can get up to 3 lands with that one. Pretty nice. Then we have some creatures that sacrifice themselves to get you lands to the battlefield. Sakura Tribe Elder, Diligent Farmhand, and the Dawn Treader Elk. We also have Wood Elves, which enters and puts a forest onto the battlefield. And then the Leyline Prowler, which is doubly good because early game it works as a mana dork, as we can tap it for green or black. And then mid to late game we have a Death Toucher with Lifelink. Next up, we're going to talk about our game plan. We have 9 cards specific to our game plan. We want a backup for Chevill in case he gets removed. So we have other Death Touchers. These ones notably have reach, so they can protect you from flyers. And the Poison Tip Archer also comes with a sapping ability where he forces our opponents to lose life whenever creatures are dying. We're going to be hopefully killing off a lot of creatures, so it should work out nicely. We also have some flyers of our own in the Vampire Nighthawk and the Bone Picker, also creatures with Death Touch. And then the Reaper of the Wilds, which does a lot of good things for us. It's a mid-sized creature, so it can be a good attacker or blocker. It gives us a scry whenever creatures die, and then we can give it Hexproof or Death Touch if we don't have any other Death Touchers and we want to be able to protect this guy. So she fits in really nicely in this deck. And then we have those bows I was telling you about. We have the Viridian Longbow, Pathway Arrows, and the Wolf Hunter's Quiver. All of these we can equip to a creature, and then we can tap that creature or pay some mana and tap that creature to destroy one of our opponent's creatures. Next up, we're going to talk about cards to interfere with our opponent's game plan. We have 22 of them, which is very high. Tragic Slip, Cast Down, and Go for the Throat all help us to deal with our opponent's creatures. Fleshbag Marauder, Merciless Executioner, and the Eldest Reborn force our opponents to sacrifice creatures. If the Eldest Reborn sticks around for chapters 2 and 3, our opponents also discard, and then we get to reanimate a creature or planeswalker from any graveyard to the battlefield. Ravenous Chupacabra, Death Sprout, and the Overseer of the Damned all help us to get targeted removal on our opponent's creatures. Do note that the Overseer of the Damned can also build you a zombie army, but when he enters, you usually don't want to target your opponent's commander unless that's your only way of removing it and you really need to, because you're not going to get those zombies off of the Overseer of the Damned. Same thing applies for Chevill, because most of the time your opponents are not going to send their commander to their graveyard. They're going to send it back to the command zone, meaning you're not going to get that dies trigger. So make sure you're targeting your opponent's regular creatures and then remove your opponent's commanders in other ways if you can. Ob Nixilis allows us to destroy a creature and then gives us card advantage turn over turn. Drana is one of the few ways we're able to get rid of our opponent's indestructible creatures, and it also becomes a big flyer that can smash in for some good damage. Thorn Mammoth likes to fight. Anytime we play a creature, we're going to be able to make the Mammoth fight and remove one of our opponent's small to mid-sized creatures. It's also a 6/6 trampler, so it can get in for some good damage. We have Nature's Claim, Return to Nature, and Acidic Slime to deal with our opponent's artifacts or enchantments. Return to Nature has the upside of being able to exile target card from a graveyard, and the Acidic Slime can help us to remove lands as well. Mire in Misery forces our opponents to sacrifice a creature, and if they don't, is going to hit an enchantment. Golgari Charm has tons of modes. Either we're going to make all the creatures get -1/-1. Most of our creatures have more than 1 toughness, so doesn't remove our own stuff for the most part. We can destroy enchantments with it, or we can protect our board by giving each of our creatures regenerate. And then Putrefy destroys target artifact or creature. Plaguecrafter forces our opponents to sacrifice creatures or planeswalkers. If they have none, they have to discard a card. And then Kogla, when it enters, fights a creature. And then when he attacks, you can destroy target artifact or enchantment defending player controls. And Kogla notably has the ability to pay 2 to bounce a human to your hand to make Kogla indestructible. We don't have a lot of humans in the deck. Plaguecrafter is one of the few, as is Chevill, so we do have a human in our command zone. We also have a very cheap commander, so he's able to come back for 4 or 6 mana, and that's not too difficult and doesn't tax us too hard. Tetzamok Primal Death can hit several creatures for us. It is also a 6/6 Death Toucher. And then we have Massacre Girl. If things just get out of hand, we're not able to control the board to our liking, we can hit a reset button on all creatures by playing the Massacre Girl. Next up, we have cards that provide consistency. We are running 17 of them, which is a little bit on the lower end for my play group. However, we do have a card in our commander that provides us consistency, so we don't need it as much. Also, Chevill comes down really early, so it's easier for us to get that. If he gets removed, we can bring him back. It's not too big of a deal. Explore, Read the Bones, and Siphon Mine all help us to get extra cards to our hand and give us some other advantage in that we can either play an additional land with Explore, we get some scries off of Read the Bones, and Siphon Mine forces our opponents to discard cards. Underworld Connections, Deathreap Ritual, and Moldervine Reclamation all help us to get continual advantage turn over turn. Underworld Connections does cost us a life and a mana. Deathreap Ritual is almost going to trigger every single turn, even on our opponent's turn, as long as something is dying. We can kind of manipulate it so that we're trying to get an extra draw both on our turn and our opponent's turns with the ritual. And then Moldervine Reclamation kind of protects our board. If somebody plays a board wipe, we're going to at least get an extra draw and gain a life from each of those creatures we had on the table. Then we have Chevill, who obviously with those bounty counters is going to provide us some extra card advantage as well as gain us some life. He can get you quite a bit of life over the course of a long game, so don't count that out either. Indulgent Tormentor is a 5/3 flyer, so hits in for some good damage, but he also reads, at the beginning of your upkeep, draw a card unless target opponent sacrifices a creature or pays 3 life. Most of the time, you're going to get the draw off of this because your opponents aren't going to want to pay 3 life or sacrifice a creature, assuming you're choosing the right opponent. We also have Oakham Adversary, which doesn't always provide us consistency, but it's a 2/3 with Death Touch that can usually get in for combat damage to draw us a card. If nothing else, we can always equip it with one of our bows, and he can just destroy creatures that way as well. And then Gonti, Lord of Luxury, which when he enters, gives us the best card off of target opponent's top 4. Also a Death Toucher, so a relevant body in this deck. We have the Thorn of the Black Rose, which is a Death Toucher again, but it also gives us the Monarch and introduces Monarch, which is a very fun mechanic to the game. Also forces some action, so I like that, especially for those long drawn out games. Fierce Empath allows us to tutor a 6 to cast or greater creature from our library into our hand. We have 4 of those. All of them allow us to basically remove other creatures, so kind of a tutor for a creature removal on a body. We have cards like Regrowth, Golgari Finebroker, and Genesis, which allow us to get stuff back from our graveyard. Regrowth can get anything, the Finebroker hits permanents, and Genesis gets us creatures as long as we can get it into our own graveyard. Nezumi Grave Robber gives us some graveyard hate, and if we can flip it, allows us to reanimate our own stuff or our opponent's best things that we've been destroying throughout the game. And then we have Mimic Vat, which allows us to get repeated use of one of our enter the battlefield creatures, or just bring back one of our opponent's creatures that we've already removed. For lands, we are running 41 of them. We have the Arch of Erasca, which gives us some card draw once we have the City's Blessing. Very expensive, but if you're in a pickle or have nothing else to do with your mana, great way to get some extra cards into our hand. Grim Backwoods gives us a sacrifice outlet that allows us to get some extra card advantage. And then we have the Mosswort Bridge, which allows us to hide away a card so that once we have 10 power on the battlefield, we can play that card for just 2 green mana. Mortuary Mire and Witch's Cottage allow us to put a creature from our graveyard back on top of our library so that we can cast them again. Sequestered Stash is similar, except that it's going to mill us for 5 cards, and then we're going to put an artifact on top of our library so that we can play it again, usually going to be one of our bows. Field of Ruin allows us to remove problematic lands of our opponents, and then we have Rogue's Passage, which can help us get in for combat damage with one of our bigs. Ash Barrens, Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic Expanse all help us to fetch up some lands and thin out our deck a little bit. We also have Blighted Woodland, Warped Landscape, and Myriad Landscape, which I like to play, and then just sit on them until you have some extra mana, and then crack them, get some mana ramp, or get some mana fixing, thin out our deck a little bit. Nice cards in this deck. We also have Command Tower, Foul Orchard, Golgari Guildgate, Golgari Rot Farm, Jungle Hollow, Tainted Wood, and Temple of Malady, which give us both of our colors, black and green. In addition, we are running 12 forests and 8 swamps. The average CMC of this deck was on the lower end, 3.23. You can see the mana curve there. If you like to control the board, ping things down with Death Touch, give this deck a go. Let me know how you liked it. Here are a few cards I would consider if I were to go above that $1 price point. If you want to see some more ideas, check out the link in the description below. Better yet, share your thoughts in the comments what card you would upgrade with. That way, others can see your brilliant ideas and alter to their liking. If you liked the video, you should give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. If you do, make sure you ring the bell so you don't miss any of the new weekly content from Budget Commander. Otherwise, you can check out the video in the top right or either of the playlists on the bottom.